This is High Ercall Hall in Shropshire. Today it's the very picture of rural tranquility. But 355 years ago, at the height of the Civil War, more than 200 Royalist troops were crammed inside these walls fighting for their lives. They'd already survived 2 bloody sieges, but this final attack was to prove too much. This strategic fortress was about to fall into parliamentary hands. Just how it finally succumbed to the Roundhead guns is a bit of a mystery, but that's not the only mystery here. There's a plaque on the wall that says High Ercall Hall was built in 1608. But if that's the case, what's this bit of medieval monastery doing here? And then there are these massive earthworks. The Royalist troops depended on them for their survival, but could they be much older than that? Time Team have been invited here to unravel the history of High Ercall Hall. And as usual, we've got just 3 days to do it. We've been invited here by High Ercall Hall's current owners, Peter and Andrea Burnett, who've spent 3 painstaking years renovating this Grade 2 star-listed building.
We believe the house was built in 1608, and it was built for the Newport family, and during the English Civil War they defended it here for the king and held it through 3 main sieges. There were up to 300 people inside the garrison.
Mick, we've got an enormous amount of information about this place, haven't we? We've got the recorded testimony of lots of people in the Civil War that Robin's looking at. Yeah. We've got the building and the arches. Yeah. So, why are we here? What can we find?
Well, it doesn't necessarily all make sense. I mean, this one, for example, which shows these arches, has a building over the top, but you see the church is shown as over there. So there's a bit of artistic license in this.
And it's over here,
and it's actually behind us.
So we need to establish if this is an accurate depiction of the building that witnessed 3 Civil War sieges, but we also want to discover what led to its eventual downfall, which is why, having already surveyed the back garden, Geophys are now conducting a mammoth survey of the hall's defences.
You see the geophysics grid that's laid out here, every 2 metres.
We've also got a team of metal detectorists who, under the guidance of Civil War archaeologist Glenn Ford, will systematically scan the whole area looking for evidence of the fighting.
For example, you might find caps to the bandolier boxes like this. There's going to be a whole range of stuff. Hopefully you'll find a lot of musket shot.
Back in the garden, Mick's decided on our first target.
I think is we've got to sort this out here.
What, the medieval arches?
Not medieval.
Not medieval?
Not medieval, no.
I shall take a bit of convincing. We're not looking at something medieval there.
I'll try and convince you.
Why is that then?
This is pretty bog standard Shropshire high status carvings around 1600, 1610, that sort of period.
This sort of thing with molens on, this is not pillaged from Ormond Abbey or something.
Not pillaged from an abbey. If you look at the market house in Shrewsbury, virtually identical, and that's 1595.
I don't think that's actually the problem with this though. I think, you know, we have a prospect that shows that there was a building here, but Peter, the owner, says that he thinks this has been moved as a folly. And I think the answer to that is to go where Victor is and put a trench in here. And you'll see why if you look on his drawing. So this is based on a 19th century drawing, and you see there's a circular stair turret on this end. And it seems to me if we dig and see if this stair turret is here, then it shows this wall is in situ and we can rely on that drawing. Yeah. If we don't find the base of the tower, then the wall could have been moved if the building was further back.
We've got anomalies that go with Mick's possible staircase. We've got a complex of foundations here. So I think we need to investigate those and see what they are.
One trench here would sort that out, you see, that this building was in situ and the geophysics shows it.
So trench 1 goes in beside the arches we now believe to be 17th century.
I've been looking at the map of Shropshire. Yeah. Shrewsbury's here, the Wrekin Hill is here, High Ercall is...
Just up here, right?
Oh, yes, I see, in its little parked enclosure.
In the incident room, Robin's delving into the records of the High Ercall site, which reveal that a grand-moated medieval manor house stood here for centuries before the present building.
From the topography, this is not an easily defended site.
I don't think it is, and I think it's much more to do with the fact that it was the Newport family that lived here, a powerful and influential family. And when they became aligned to the Royalist side, I think then they started to build substantial defences, which can still be seen to the north of the hall, and would have had to put a lot of effort into trying to make up for the fact that this is not ideal ground to defend.
So it's a combination of the existing medieval moat plus vast banks to protect the house.
I think that's it, yes.
These overgrown defences are our next target for investigation, because we want to know just how much work the Royalists carried out to fortify this site. It might not have been that much, because there seems to be a medieval tower set into this massive bank. So did they mainly rely on the existing medieval defences?
I mean, this looks like a good stout structure. Look, it's turning round the corner here, and then it comes on, it's still coming on down here, and it's still coming on down here.
Yep.
And, oh, and
Yep. It runs down there as well, doesn't it?
I think I've come off the edge of it.
Trench 2 will unpick the history of this massive siege defence, and it promises to be a much bigger, noisier and dirtier job than the small, neat trenches being dropped into the back garden.
So why are we putting this trench in just here?
Well, we're hoping to find the reason for this anomaly here on the resistivity,
Right,
which could just be remains of a medieval house here before this one.
right. So is this on an alignment with this building here or not?
No, it's on a slightly different alignment, about 10-15 degrees away from it.
Right.
So it doesn't seem to have any relationship at all with that one.
But this anomaly in Trench 3 isn't just out of kilter with the current house, it's also in an area that doesn't relate to the 19th century illustration of a complete High Ercall hall. And Phil, back from his trip to Trench 2, may have discovered why.
We've got the answer to your garden feature.
All right.
Look, it's built on a very, very solid foundation, and you can see just how solid it is. And it's literally just made up of little bits of brick rubble. And look down here, it looks as though it's actually mortared in together.
Yeah.
So it looks like they've just built this solid foundation, and you need it on this sand too, don't you?
Yeah.
And then wherever it's come from, they've kind of re-erected it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So the arches have definitely been moved, and that, coupled with the misplaced church in the drawing, strongly suggests we should look upon this historical source as an artistic flight of fancy. If we're going to recreate the 1645 High Ercall Hall, we'll have to rely on good old-fashioned archaeology. Our systematic metal detecting survey has meanwhile switched to what's said to be the site of the parliamentarians' main camp overlooking Trench 2. The trench we thought contained a medieval tower. But on closer inspection, it seems we could be looking at something much more ornamental.
Is that a bit of brick you've got down there? That's come out of the fill?
That's come out of the fill.
Right.
Underneath the floor.
What do you make of that?
Early brick. Looks like it's been mortared and used before.
How early in this sort of area in Shropshire do you get brick of that type?
In Shropshire, you're not looking at brick really until the middle of the 16th century, and then it's quite rare even then.
So at the earliest for this construction, we're looking late 16th century?
Late 16th, early 17th, yeah.
OK, puts it in the Civil War period, but could easily be a garden feature.
It could be garden, especially as we know that Newport was really into gardens at his other sites in the county.
400 foot above this apparent garden feature, Stuart and Mick are giving the site the customary aerial once-over.
What do you think about this big earthwork on this side, Mick?
It looks classic sort of Civil War to me. A massive thing that you could put guns on the top of, but would absorb gun, shot and cannonballs coming into it. It's like a big blocking bank, really.
It is.
This bank faces out towards the only ground higher than the hall, the natural position for any besieging army. So Stuart's keen to discover if there was any other way the parliamentarians could successfully attack the site. But most of the land around the hall seems too low or marshy for such an operation, and the Royalists had taken extreme measures to ensure High Ercall village wasn't used as a launch pad.
I've had a walk round, and there's actually no old village buildings surviving. They must have completely trashed the village. The defenders, the Royalists in High Ercall, wouldn't have wanted the village, the buildings, to give shelter to any attackers.
Yeah.
So I think it's them that deliberately got rid of the village to give a clear field of fire on that side.
Right.
This destruction of a complete village is a potent reminder of the effects of civil war on a community. And Robbins unearthed some personal observations of the people caught up in that first 17-day siege at High Ercall.
We know that the lady of the house, Lady Diana Newport, was in here because we've got a couple of wonderful letters written by her mum, Lady Bedford from Woburn Abbey. She says, "Your former favours make me hope you will help me in the matter of my daughter Newport, who is besieged in High Ercall. I wonder at her lingering there so long. She has been much misled, as I know her heart was ever inclined to the Parliament. I believe she did it to keep her poor house."
So what happened at the end of the first siege?
The parliamentarians were driven off by the garrison.
Yeah.
Just 200 against 500,000.
We know that 500 of the besiegers were taken prisoner or killed, and that's a phenomenal number.
So it's 1-0 to the Cavaliers?
Absolutely.
Well, that's pretty good, isn't it? What have we got there?
Well, it looks like we've got the remains of a wall, Mick.
You've got the mortar on the top, haven't you?
Yeah.
You got any lime plaster on it?
This side and that side as well. And it looks like it's continuing in this direction underneath me.
Right.
Yeah, at first we thought that it was just a piece of rubble in this demolition layer, but it's so massive and it's all bonded together, and it's going down. We're sort of 40 centimetres down on that side and it's still going.
But you have got a lot of demolition rubble with it, haven't you? And other stuff
around it, yeah, but not underneath it yet.
Well, we're not going to understand that from a little hole like this, are we?
No, I think we need to go bigger because that's such a distinctive angle.
Yeah.
There ought to be some... It's got to relate to something else.
But just as we think we're getting to grips with High Ercall Hall, it starts to get very complicated. Can you make out what that plaque actually says?
Anno Domini 1608, at his true age of, I think it's 52 years, Francis Newport, Knight, this house, to the glory of God, began building a second time and completed it.
1608?
Doesn't look like 1608 to me.
That's what it says on the plaque.
I don't believe it.
Why not?
If this is by Newport, he was one of the richest men in Shropshire at that time. This doesn't look like the sort of house he would build in 1608. It looks 20 years earlier, 10, 20 years earlier, and slightly lower down the gentry scale.
Let me throw a further spanner in the architectural works, because there's another inscription over there, now set into a garden wall, which says, "This beautiful house was built by Sir Francis Newport, the same bloke, begun in 1617 and completed in 1620.
So we now seem to have a house that's older than its date stamp and a completely separate missing mansion. Time to reassess our dig in the back garden.
I mean, the main thing is this trench has served its function. We know that this is definitely not part of the building.
We still have a problem, Phil, of a large house, a large early 17th century house missing. You see me, it could be either up there, could be up the back, more likely across here.
It's certainly not here.
So if you drop us on one here...
A target there and a target
and we'll
there.
start looking up there. So it's going to be over...
But it's the end of day one. We've only got time to choose the spot for our next trench.
Ah, well, you see, we can go in there as well.
And work out tomorrow's strategy for both the missing house and High Ercall's defences, where Trench 2 has come on in leaps and bounds. They're not garden features, are they?
It doesn't look like it now. When we first saw it, it looked quite flimsy-footed, but now it's got this huge footing, so it looks pretty chunky.
It's only up where Anna is at the top. You can see the squared-up masonry, that you've actually got the beginnings of the tower going up from that level, and that's lower than the top of the Civil War bank. So they must have built the gun platform bank up against it. So it was probably there at that time.
It was actually there at the time of the English Civil War?
That's what it looks like, isn't it, at the moment? So that would make it a medieval wall.
So tomorrow we're going to get down to the bottom of this tower, and if you think this place is just about towers and earthworks, look at these pieces of shot which we just found in the bank over there. Let's hope tomorrow we can find some more evidence of the English Civil War. Beginning of day 2. As you can see, we're already getting down to the base of that massive tower we unearthed yesterday. Mick, we're going to look for a second tower?
Yeah, another one on the corner here, because if we had a fortified manor house here, there ought to be a big building in the middle with the towers and the walls around it.
So we're going to stick a trench in now?
We're going to stick a trench in down there as soon as we can get the digger over.
All right, I'll give him a shout.
OK.
This hunt for a second tower is a result of an anomaly John's discovered on his geophys. But the whole High Ercall site is thick with archaeological puzzles. Somewhere in the back garden is a grand mansion, finished, according to a plaque on the garden wall, in 1620.
A date carved on it by any luck?
I'm sure Richard will be able to date that one.
And just to keep us on our toes, it now seems the current hall could be an earlier build than its 1608 plaque suggests. So our investigations have now spread from the back garden into Peter Burnett's recently restored house.
The top of the house is known as the barracks, and it's
right.
the area where the Royalist troops were supposed to have lived during the Civil War, but I don't think there's enough room really for 300 people, so it might have been something like a hospital.
Yeah, so local hearsay, really.
I think so, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Was it like this when you came here?
Well, the roof was already done like this, but there were no floorboards and there was only a small way up, no electricity, so it was actually by torchlight that I first saw this.
Oh,
wonderful.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
So does this help us with understanding the house then, Richard?
It slightly confuses us, actually.
Yeah.
We've got this, what appears to be a perfectly single-phase main wing,
Yeah.
but the roof is of 2 separate designs.
Well, this is a big crook blade here, isn't it? I mean,
Yes,
I recognise this is where you've taken the whole tree and cut the timber out of it.
A massive bit of timber, yeah, and that's the same in this half of the building. But over here, you've got a completely different type of truss.
Oh, yes, yeah.
This has got a much thinner piece of wood, and it's going all the way down to the plate here. It hasn't broadened out like the crook blades. And this is an arch-brace collar truss, if you want the anorak term for it.
To get a definitive answer as to what's going on here, we've enlisted Mick the Dig to take samples of the beams in his other guise as Mick the Dendrochronologist, or Mick the Twig. Hopefully, by the end of the day, he should be able to tell us exactly how old this version of High Ercall Hall is. And we've just found evidence of an even earlier phase of High Ercall's history in Trench 2. Paul, what have you got?
Well, we've got 2 medieval tiles here. One's a decorated example, almost certainly 13th or 14th century, and there's a plain one, which normally would be much more difficult to date, but it's an identical fabric and the glaze is very much the same, so I think they're from the same source and of the same period. But it's a very nice find for a site that's not a monastery, and it may have come from the chapel or from a very high status room in the manor.
This find points to the base of this tower and the walls around the hall belonging to the medieval manor house that once stood here. But there's disappointment elsewhere in this field. The trench we dug this morning has revealed nothing. No medieval tower foundations, no Civil War musket balls, no evidence of any structure whatsoever. We're going to have to rely on Trench 2 for the full story of these fortifications.
That's come on a long way, Kerry.
It has. We've now got this corner here, which means we've got the 3 corners of the tower.
So we can reconstruct that now?
We can, yeah. You can see where it's been cut through the natural here.
All right, the red sandstone
The red
stuff.
stone here, yeah, and
and
it's the same, it's been cut through on the other side as well.
Yeah. You're happy about that?
Well, I don't mind what date it is, as long as it's pre-Civil War.
Oh, right. This seems a bit churlish. Why is that?
Well, I mean, the really exciting thing about this is, look at all that earth up the top there, above your medieval defences.
Yeah, I mean, I was assuming they'd added this in the Civil War as a gun platform or as a defence, because this is the weakest side, isn't it? It's level with the ground outside.
I think the key thing you've got to understand is your medieval wall wasn't built for defence against artillery.
So you could punch holes through it with
straight
cannonballs,
through it,
in
yeah.
fact.
So you've got to fill up the interior with soil to take that impact.
So to test Glenn's theory of how this fortification was built, we're going to dig a deep, and I mean very deep, trench through the different layers of this bank. In the back garden, we're still on our quest to find the missing 1620 High Ercall Hall. But 2 trenches put in this morning to test geophys anomalies have only produced evidence of a cobbled surface, possibly the main driveway.
We've not got our big building down in Phil's Trench. Why can't it be back up here and connected up there?
If there was a connection between the new build, the beautiful house, and the old house, that has to be it. There's no other place in that building it could be.
So we ought to think about looking in this area, hadn't we?
Yeah.
We ought to see what Jen's got in her trench first, because that's not that far away, is it?
No, true.
Jen, what have you got then?
We've got massive, massive masonry in this trench now.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the front of the wall and that's the back, so we're talking about walls well over 1 metre wide.
Right, so any idea of date for them, though?
Not really. I mean, we've got this stonework. I don't know what you think, Richard, whether it's dateable.
Not really. They're fairly standard forms, but they are high quality. Higher
Right.
quality than the house.
But, I mean, are they medieval, though, Richard?
It's difficult to tell, to be honest. Very simple
Right.
shapes. Sort of moulding, quite generic, really. This is obviously part of a window. It's a glazing groove.
So it could be part of the big house?
Yeah, it's not part of the house we've got. It's too grand to be part of the house we've got, I think.
Henry has done...
A previous small-scale excavation on this site found another massive wall perpendicular to the one in Jenny's trench. But to really understand what's going on, there's only one option.
Put in more trenches, because at the moment we've got a lot of walls and we don't know how they relate to each other.
Yeah.
Somehow we need to try and tie them together a bit more.
Yeah, bring your water, Richard, and we'll go up and start that trench.
So yet more trenches go in, and Peter's back garden begins to resemble a lesson in trench warfare, aided and abetted by his own family. But we are finding more evidence of the house's violent past.
This is a piece of splattered shot, and it was from an area quite close to what we think is a door down there. So, you know, you've got the shot of the attacker that goes with the enemy fire, if you like.
He's hit the target. As it happens, High Ercall is just a short drive from the Muzzleloaders Association firing range, the perfect opportunity for a demonstration of a musket's potential.
And to hit it first time, I mean, that gives you an incredible indication of the accuracy of the weapon once you're really used to it.
Glenn's particularly keen to try out a spot of forensic archaeology and see the effect of musket fire on the sort of stone used to build High Ercall Hall and Church. He's spotted various marks around the site that suggest fighting at close quarters.
Well, that's excellent.
It's wonderful.
Look at that mark.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It does. It just sort of cupped in where the musket balls hit it.
But I mean, the fascinating thing is, with a small ball like that making that effect, imagine a cannonball.
Yeah.
And what that would do, even to solid stonework like this, it would be incredible.
It should be.
Mick, what on earth's going on? It looks like you've dug a huge set of stairs right up to the digger.
Yeah, and we've got a lift shaft at the top as well.
Why?
Well, we wanted to sort out what was going on here in relation between the medieval manor house and this big bank on the top. And I think we have done that now.
All right, what's going on then?
You see the difference between the brown and the red layer there?
Yeah.
The bottom one is pre-Civil War, and the top one we've actually got finds from, haven't we, Kerry?
We have. This area is full of finds contemporary with the Civil War period, but they stop here, and there's no finds at all once you get to this darker layer.
And then in this huge great shaft at the top, 4.7 metres down, you've got the same chain. So there's nearly 5 metres added onto the top. So I think we've sorted the story out here now.
What is it?
I think the story here is that there's the medieval moated manor house site. This is the moat coming round here, turning round there. It's got a wall round it, which we can see in 2 places, and at some stage they add a tower or I mean, it might still be a garden feature, but a tower in that corner. And then at some stage nearer the Civil War, all of this is buried under a great mound of earth. And the reason it's buried is that the land is level or higher out on that side. This is the weak side of the house. So they put a big bank, they heighten the existing bank. Not only does that absorb any cannonballs that come into it, but it provides you with a big fighting platform to fight back. And so you protect this side of the house. So you've modified the medieval site by raising the embankment.
OK, you've found out all that. What do we do with the site now?
Well, we've got to fill it in, because that hole there is very dangerous. I mean,
So that explains how the defending Royalists turned the weakest side of High Ercall into an impenetrable rampart. But they would also have sheltered from incoming fire behind other defences, particularly large wicker baskets of earth called gabions.
A gabion was very much like a modern-day sandbag, easily made by a basket maker who would be paid about 2 shillings a day, put in place and then filled with earth on top of a rampart or around the position.
So let's get this right. You start off with a circle of stakes. You weave in wattles around it,
Yeah.
and then you fill it up with dirt.
Yeah. It would protect you against most kind of cannon shot because the earth would absorb the impact.
That would actually make a defence that was proof against cannon shot, would it?
It's not a question of whether it would, it did, because
Right.
it's used everywhere from the 15th century, certainly until the 19th century.
We're going to make a couple of these gabions with the help of hurdle maker Andy Brewer and a group of Civil War reenactors.
That's right. Oh, right in there.
That's right, yeah.
See, that's half the skill, knowing actually, or at least that's the thing, knowing how far back you've got to backtrack.
Yes, there's actually literally our blood in this now.
Right.
And then tomorrow, purely in the interests of experimental archaeology, plus the fact that it should be rather jolly, we're going to fire a real live cannon at them. Probably the first time something like this has been tried in 100 years.
You've got to go inside that one, Chris. This is the original moat ditch here.
Meanwhile, Stuart's continuing his quest to discover how the High Ercall Royalists were finally defeated. With the massive embankment blocking any assault from the high ground, he switched his attention to the church and churchyard behind the house, as he now believes the parliamentarians may have launched an attack from this flatter, more exposed side of the site.
I think I found evidence that this church tower was still standing during the Civil War siege and was used in the defence.
Right.
If you look at this, pock marks,
Yeah.
well, they, to me, look like the impacts that musket balls might make, but you know more about it than I do.
That's exactly what I wanted to see. I mean, absolutely convinced seeing those now after this afternoon's experiment. That's musket shot.
They're good, are they?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a whole cluster of them here, so there must have been some intense activity going on below this tower.
In the back garden, Jenny's trench continues to be the most productive, and the massive walls she's discovered now seem to have plaster on both sides. Why are we digging so many trenches?
Well, if we've got a big posh house on this site, around about 1620, before the Civil War, we really don't know where it is. That's the area we've got to play with. So somewhere in that must be this big house. It's not down where Phil was digging, it's not where the arches are, and Jen's got this big wall in the trench here. And my feeling is that presumably this big building has got to be somewhere in that area like that. After all, that wall has got plaster on that side, so that must be inside, and it's also got plaster on this side, so this must be an internal wall.
How does this new posh structure here relate to this building?
Well, it only relates to it by where it's joined on there as far as we can see.
Yeah.
It isn't joined on at this gable as we'd see doorways or ragged bits of wall or whatever.
What would this little bit be? Just a corridor then?
It's a bit wider than that, and we are thinking of this
long gallery.
Yeah, a sort of indoor winter recreation that all these big houses had at that
one.
date.
You have to have one.
With little time left, we can't really hope to solve the mystery of this missing mansion till tomorrow. But we can resolve the matter of the present building and why it looks older than the 1608 plaque on the front of the house.
What I've managed to do on this side, I've managed to find bark edge 3 out of
All thanks to Mick Worthington and his dendro samples.
And I thought it was the rings on the wood would actually be counted to get the date.
And the way dendrochronology works is I have a series of dated chronologies, which are basically the fluctuations in weather across the last 1,000 years. Wow. And because a tree's only grown at one period during that 1,000 years, the fluctuations within the tree will only match at one point in that chronology.
Right.
What I've got is, for the crook frame part, which is from here forwards, that way, I've got a date of 1595.
I like that.
Oh, that's a
like
good
that.
sign, yeah.
So that's
1595. Is that a felling date for the trees, is it?
Yeah, that's actually spring 1595.
God, straight.
Very accurate.
What day of the month?
I can't do that. From where we're sitting going back,
With the different trusses.
with the different trusses, I've got a date of 1607 to 8. So basically, they're felled over the winter.
Right, but they're felled, 10 or 12 years
Years
later
after
by the
that
look of
lot.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help?
That helps a lot. Ties in with the date on the date plaque outside in 1608. But we know that the carcass of the building has to go with the first bit of the roof, which is 1595. So it's almost as if they built this in the early 1590s, started to finish it and roof it, but didn't get round to it. And then 1607-8, they've suddenly got the money or the will to finish it. So they finish that part of the roof and add this wing.
I mean, it seems to be extraordinary that, you know, you can get that from looking at this stuff, you know.
It's brilliant.
And modest.
So another mystery solved on this surprisingly complex site. But we've still got a lot of work to do tomorrow, and it's only proper that our weary team have a period of rest and recuperation as we find out how High Ercall survived the second of its 3 sieges.
There are 1,100 parliamentarians gathered round High Ercall, when suddenly there appears on the scene the hero of the moment, Sir William Vaughan, at the head of 900 troops, including 40 dragoons. And he wins an astounding victory. He captures or kills at least half of them, and 100 he actually kills at High Ercall on that one day. The rest flee back towards Shrewsbury, and a whole host of them are drowned trying to cross the River Rodin. It's the most wonderful propaganda victory that the Royalists could possibly have hoped for.
But the third siege changed all that. The Royalists were to face defeat as they defended the grand house we now believe lies beneath the garden of High Ercall Hall. So tomorrow we're going to draw in our own troops, our diggers, to see if we can find out more about that building, which would have been at the very heart of the final battle. It would have been bloody. It's the start of day 3, and the back garden of High Ercall Hall is a flurry of trench opening, extending and deepening. We've now established that a grand 1620 house lies somewhere to the far side of these arches, and in the limited time left, Mick's doing everything he can to get an indication of the scale of the building.
We're putting one over there because on the geophysics there's an anomaly, a big blob there that might be a wall, and that's the side we'd expect to get all the force from the attack. So you look at that, and then we've got another one over there.
Let's have a look at this one.
And this one's got a wall in it as well. If you really wanted to see the whole plan of this, we'd need to strip everything off and spend 3 months here. The problem is if you've got a huge, great building that's very fine, that's battered in a siege, then demolished, then all the bits are recycled, you're only going to get patchy bits in the ground, and you're not going to understand it from these little trenches.
We haven't got 3 months, we've got about 9 hours.
No, but as long as we get lots of big walls in every hole that we dig, I'll be happy. I'll know that we're in the middle of the main structure.
There's mounting evidence that this side of the Royalist stronghold bore the brunt of the attacks. Yesterday, Stuart and Glenn found scars from musket fire on the church tower. This morning, the effects of Civil War gunfire are even closer to home.
These are more of these musket ball impacts that we were looking at on the church.
Yeah, very similar to the church. Possibly a little bit smaller. Maybe we're looking at pistol rather than musket.
Right. Well, I think the importance of this to me is that this must have been standing somewhere in here, if not in its original position, at the time of the conflict.
Yeah,
right.
So firefight in the building.
Overnight, our reenactors have continued to build their gabion, a common Civil War defence. But will it be up to this afternoon's test when it's fired at by a real live cannon?
And I mean, the sails are still not very straight. I mean, look, I can't help but notice this one. Now look at that. Isn't that a work of art?
But this is done by a man who does it for a living. He does this all day, every day, like they would have done in the 17th century. I mean, he may not build it in this shape, but he does it for a living. He knows how to lay them properly.
Well, he's obviously not built it according to your shape.
In the back garden, we're starting to find traces of wall in some of our newer trenches. But it now seems the 1620 house was so thoroughly demolished that little remains of even the ground floor.
I'm sure we're in the basement here, and that the floor level would have been up here, and you'd have come up to that, and there'd been some sort of store underneath.
Right, a sort of cellar or something.
Yeah, a storage area or something like that. Oh wow! Look at that.
Yeah, here we are. Looks like we've got a red tile floor here.
Oh, how about that?
Brilliant.
That's nice, isn't it?
Isn't it super?
And it looks as if it's in condition, guys. It's not smashed up, is it?
No, it's not. It's as clean as when they were laid. It looks like.
Yeah.
I wonder how big they are.
Well, we can see an edge there. Look, there's a couple of edges showing up there, isn't there? When you've cleaned that up, Gary, we'll come and get a picture of it.
OK.
Stuart's investigation into how High Ercall finally fell to the Roundheads is almost finished. He needs just one final overview of the site with Glenn and Peter, who just happens to be an ex-soldier with the Black Watch.
We've come up to the top of the church tower here where we can see fantastic views all the way around. And I think this was probably at the absolute hub of the defence, the central point, vital ground. Without this, we wouldn't have been able to hold the position.
It's quite interesting when you look down into the hall site how your house has survived almost without any damage, and yet this side has been totally destroyed. I mean, that seems to point to the main final siege coming from the south, doesn't it? Is that what you think?
I think the bank on the north side will have protected that side of the house. And I think the obvious area for attack would have been this southern side. And therefore I'm sure this was the area the main attack would have come to.
We may be about to crack what happened to the 1620 High Ercall Hall. What it looked like is another matter.
So there's just no sign of the, well, what they thought was a wall on the geophysics, is there?
No, I'm afraid not. It's just a layer of brick and a layer of pebbles.
The trench we opened near the church this morning is empty.
Phil had. I guess there's nothing to do but shut it down then.
Okay then.
And we need to find the outside wall on this side of the site if we're to work out the true extent of the 1620 building. All these tiny little trenches we've got outside with little bits of wall going this way and that, and I'm no nearer understanding what the shape of that 17th century building was like.
No, well, I've been putting pressure on Richard for 3 days to drop me a comparable building onto the site so we can see what they might indicate.
What do you come up with?
Well, you've got a choice of two. We've got one called Apley Castle just down the road from here.
Right.
And that, Reassessing has actually reproduced that at scale.
So that would fit very well into the space we've got and where the walls are turning up, wouldn't it?
And that's a sort of slightly lower down the social scale than Newport was. And then we've got one you might know, Mick, Aston Hall.
Oh, our old house in Birmingham.
It looks funny for a terrace.
Well, but that's fantastic. I wouldn't have thought Aston Hall, which is a monumental structure,
building,
would have gone into that space.
Yep, it does that.
And yet it fits.
That's the same sort of status as Newport was as well.
Is that anything like what we've come up with?
Well, we've got lots of T-junctions and other wall junctions there now. I mean, it is difficult to sort out our pattern.
Yeah.
But presumably if we stripped the whole area, we could easily have something as complex as that, couldn't we?
Oh, yeah.
But what about these? What about our arches? We know they weren't there originally.
Yeah.
Where would they have been, Richard?
No problem. On this drawing of Aston, there's colonnades there, and we have a photograph to show how it would work at Aston Hall.
Oh, so that bit there is that bit across there, then?
Exactly that, yeah.
Ah, so they might not have moved it very far, in fact.
Indeed.
With our gabions completed, Phil's forsaken the trenches for an MOD licensed firing range.
I tell you what, these last few sticks ain't going to make a muscle of difference to the cannonball.
We're just tidying it up for you.
Just making it look pretty.
Tell you what, it really is a solid target.
There's 2 tons of earth in there.
My impression of it has gone up leaps and bounds. I still await to see what happens when a cannonball hits it.
Well, so do I now.
So we're on.
But firing cannons loaded with proper cannonballs is a dangerous business.
Checked and tested there.
Has it got its MOT certificate then?
It certainly has, yes. They also stamped the barrel, and underneath there is a proof mark.
So, Derek, I think this is quite a momentous occasion for you too, isn't it?
Indeed, yes.
I mean, have you ever fired one of these before?
Never. Not live. We fired blank.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It
Absolutely
is,
incredible.
it's wonderful,
It's your
yeah.
cannon, presumably?
Actually, it belongs to Newark Garrison. I'm the person who looks after it. I'm its registered minder.
And, I mean, aren't you bothered about maybe us busting it up?
A bit, yes. I'm slightly apprehensive.
Mick, what are we doing with radar? It's practically 3:30 on day 3.
I'm not exactly sure, but I did say to Jen that we still didn't know where this wall was.
This back wall here?
Yeah. No.
What's going on, Jen?
Well, we still really haven't sorted out where the other end of this building is yet, and radar seemed like a good idea to see if they could find another target.
Because there isn't anything on the geophys that indicates a big
Not
wall
on the
there, is there?
resistivity, no.
Yeah.
And archaeologically, the most important thing is to work out the dimensions of this building, and we've got to have a go at it.
Time isn't on our side, and with a radar target selected, every digger on the site's pushed into service.
Deturfing. Was your radar a negative or a positive?
We haven't got anything as massive as we got with this block here.
Okay.
So it could be we may have one or two courses, or we may have a concentration of rubble in a trench. I can't tell the difference.
But could you,
not in the time.
how far down were you looking with the radar?
We did this in 20 minutes. We'd normally do it in half a day.
Okay. We don't know.
I really don't know, Jenny.
We've now only 90 minutes to find this wall, and it's started to tip down. A situation that's not uncommon in Time Team's history.
I mean, this is good, this great big wall here, isn't it, Richard? That seems to help us.
Yep, nice wall, and also some nice bits of finds as well.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of ceiling plaster there.
Oh, ceiling plaster?
Yep.
I just assumed it was off the walls.
No, you can see where the laths have been.
Right,
Posh
OK, so
house.
this has been like that and then collapsed all over it.
Yep. And nice glass from a window.
Ah, so this is proper demolition debris then, isn't it? We've actually got the high quality glass as well.
Yeah, of a grand house as
That's
well.
great.
Yep.
So that's
Excellent.
been a very productive trench, hasn't it?
It has indeed, yeah.
Great. And a lot of it.
And a lot of it, yes.
Well, I think you'll be able to stop soon, chaps, and coming out the rain.
Back in the comfortable, dry surroundings of the incident room, Robin and Stuart have unravelled the events of the Third Siege to determine how the Royalists were finally defeated.
I think perhaps you've got a really good story here, the archaeology and the documents coming together. There's Peter's house, this is the church here. Well, surrounding this house in the medieval period was a moat all the way around it. The archaeology tells us that. We had a stream valley down this side which was filled with fish ponds, the documents record that. At the time of the Civil War, what happens is that topography is used in part of the defensive network. The churchyard is probably part of the defensive arrangement here, and a big earthwork, the one over the garden, is erected on this side, probably to control this road.
Successfully defeating 2 attacks on the manorial site, the Royalists gave up the churchyard and concentrated on the defence of the seemingly invulnerable house. Robin, the Royalists were in this fantastic position after the Second Siege. So why did they lose in the end?
Because the parliamentarians were really miffed. In February 1646, the Royalists within the house decided to sally out and attack a local fair, where they made off with £1,000 worth of money and goods. And so the parliamentarians clearly decided that enough was enough. They built a new strong earthwork, or a sconce as it's sometimes called, within less than a musket shot of a High Ercall, by means whereof the enemy could not stir in or out, although I've got no other indication as to where it was.
But thanks to the physical evidence of the site and his reading of the topography, Stuart now believes he knows where this new fatal parliamentarian fort was.
There's a piece of high ground on this side which is within musket range, i.e. 150 yards, which we know that was the range. It's on high ground, it's got natural defences around it, and it's where you'd expect it to be, overlooking the principal entrance into the enclosure. And we know from the archaeology within the enclosure, there's virtually no damage on the house that Peter lives in on this side or this side. All the damage would occurred over here, which again reinforces this theory that they were able to bombard from this side.
And that's the angle you'd attack from, because you've got a whacking great earthwork around the back that you've no way of getting over.
That's right.
You're going to go for the gatehouse and the bridge and try and break in.
And at the end of March that year, they embarked upon a bombardment, a close bombardment of the house with heavy cannon and grenades. Quite clearly, after 9 hours of this, the Royalists within the hall decided that their number was well and truly up, that it was only a question of time before all buildings were flattened and that they were killed. And so they came to terms for surrender, and 212 of them marched out heading for Worcester, 40 of the officers with their equipment, the rest without any kind of provisions whatsoever, and that was the end of the Third Siege.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it fits everything we know so far, doesn't it?
So far, what we don't know is where the rest of the 17th century house was. We don't know. We still haven't got that front wall of it, have we?
No, we've got a lot of walls, but we haven't got a proper plan out of it yet.
Yeah, that's what we found.
But we've at last found some evidence of a structure in our final trench.
Paul, you just give us a your thoughts on the glass.
Well, it's very typical green glass, which should make it about 16th or 17th century.
Good-o.
And it would have been cut into fairly small panes. Would have been in a leaded window. and it's quite well preserved. It often decays.
It's very thin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite good quality. The potash that was used in the manufacture tends to give it this green colour. Most grass up here was green.
So could we at last be on the wall that took the brunt of the final attack? We've now less than an hour of digging time to find out.
Put up your bow!
In the meantime, Phil's about to put the gabions to the ultimate test.
So that's it then.
That's it.
£2 ball.
That's it.
Okay, let's see what damage it'll do.
Ram the piece.
Bloody hell, fire!
The first shot scores a direct hit on the professionally made gabion, so all we need now is the reenactor's handiwork to get the same treatment.
Yes! Got it!
Oh, hey! Look at that!
A quick inspection of the hurdle maker's gabion confirms it stopped the cannonball without any damage to the back of it. And as for the reenactor's effort,
It broke the hazel.
That's 2/3 of the way through.
2/3 of the way through. So it's not even touched the back wall. This was Andy's. This was the one that he made.
Yeah, but it just shows the quality of the workmanship has got nothing to do with the ability to stop shot. Can we do it again?
mission accomplished. While back at High Ercall,
Look, could be it.
What you got, Jen?
That's it. That's good enough for me.
It's definitely a big lump of sandstone with mortar on top. So
Oh, that is a hell of a good start,
it
isn't
is
it?
a very good start. And it's
Stop
right.
now.
Quite wide as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
I think we'll get Ian to get back in and can you scrape some of this out without...
we now have a position for the exterior wall of the missing 1620 house, and that means all our evidence backs Richard's two theories about what stood here. Although the building's demolition was so thorough, we can't say for definite how it looked. But whatever its exact layout, this grand house became a focal point for 3 vicious sieges during one of the darkest periods in English history. We've seen the force of the muskets and cannons that were trained on this place. It was pounded by countless rounds during 3 bloody sieges. Over 1,000 men were killed or wounded. And yet, amazingly, we've found evidence of the structure they sheltered behind still surviving. Our last trench hit the wall, which was the part of the building nearest the action. Maybe this glass was still in place when they looked out to see the parliamentarians advancing. Over the last 3 days, High Ercall has revealed a new chapter in its history, the story and the evidence of a much bloodier past.